Hello. Today we are thinking over the topic of a bread basket. I made up my mind to weave a gift. I'm got fascinated by the matter, and I'd like to share the points I have learned and discovered with you. There are a lot of bread baskets woven with newspaper tubes nowadays. I've tried to classify the types of bread baskets. So anyway, for weaving a bread basket you will need a form. I have found and bought two basins like this, especially for bread baskets. I'd like to note that an oval one seems more practical to me because it is convenient for keeping any kind of bread. I like the round ones because of their shape, but the round one with an inside board can contain a roll. As for a big loaf of bread, it is doubtful. A bread basket with an outside board instead of an inside one is more capacious. I have woven a regular tray and completed it with a simple edging. A cover is placed into it and the bread basket comes out rather capacious. But the leader in capaciousness is a square bread basket. I felt like making it this way. Here there are some drawbacks, I will tell you about them later, but it is the most capacious bread basket. It can store a loaf and some rolls, or maybe even 2 loaves. That's why I advise you a bread basket like this. Here is an oval one. As for classification of bread baskets, apart from classifying them by shape, one can also classify them by the type of a bottom. For example, if you talk about oval bread baskets, a bottom can be either entirely woven or made of cardboard. I have not found such a big piece of cardboard, so I have made it partially cardboard and partially twined round with the tubes. And you can also classify bread baskets by the boards. An outside board and inside boards, like here and here. An inside one makes the cover sit well. But there are some disadvantages as well. It reduces the capacity of a bread basket. That is why you can try both ways and choose the one you like more. And you can also classify them by the patterns used for weaving. A layer-wise pattern is very popular. Here I felt like using a cotton weave, such a cotton pattern with different tones. Here you can see cotton weave as well, with a row pattern in the middle and decorated with decoupage. This oval one is woven using the technique of a rope made with 2 tubes of 2 similar colors. A bread basket can be also decorated by different kinds of decorative boards. In this case it is a 3-tube rope, but you can also use a braid or a 4-tube rope. The division of the patterns with the help of such boards looks very interesting, very decorative. And of course our traditional sharp chooser can also decorate a bread basket, some joints, transitions between the patterns or from the pattern to decoupage. I propose you to start weaving a bread basket from a cover. Let's make a workpiece for a novel bottom. I take a form I'm going to weave a breadbasket round and estimate the size of a bottom on the form. The task is to calculate the length of the workpiece so that these intervals were approximately the same as the side intervals. In this case, you won't have to weave any additional rows, instead you can just weave in circle. The techniques of weaving an oval bottom can be different, you can see them on our side. I have chosen this one, a simple one. So start weaving the regular oval bottom up to the size of the form. I have woven 9 or 10 rows in the technique of a rope. Notice that I've used a combination of the direct and opposite rope. Why? Because in this case the oval doesn't curl. If we wove it in the technique of a regular direct rope, it will curl like this. While this way it is easier to keep it horizontal. Now we have achieved the equal intervals between the poles, at the sides as well as here. And it is high time to separate each pole. That is why I weave one decorative board, inserting one additional tube for this purpose. I weave a 3-tube rope. You can weave one row of it, or you can weave one row in the technique of a direct and the next one in the technique of an opposite rope, and get a decorative braid as a result. And after this braid we will separate the tubes each separately. We have woven the bottom up to the required size. Now we tie the bottom to the form. I use a very thin elastic band for it. I have tried a thicker one, but it is inconvenient because you have to pass to shift it each time. It is much easier with a thinner one. So we have tied it a few times, connect it here, and continue weaving without paying any attention to this elastic. In the end we will just pull it out and it will leave no prints. So continue weaving without any transitions, but just bending the poles. Continue weaving. We have turned, woven one more decorative board with a 3-tube rope, and I continue weaving. For this breadbasket I have chosen a cotton weave. I felt like making it with such tones to fit the napkin. What is important for cotton weave? To press to the form as tightly as possible, which will make weaving convenient. The number of the poles is odd. Shaping a smooth oval, I have added some more tubes at the sides and have got the odd number of the poles. And I'd also like to note that the joints have to be unnoticeable, so we hide them. And pressing like this, continue weaving in the technique of a cotton weave. It is convenient to hold it on your knees. Continue pressing tightly. Here we are going to lengthen. And continue. Now when we have woven up to the required height, insert the working tubes in the end, as usual. And now we have to take the article out of the form. Untie the band, and if it is thin, it gets taken out easily with no prints. If we plan to weave a bread basket with outer boards of the tray, then we need no volume here. We just either cover it with white glue and cut the tips, or this time I feel like tightening it a little because my form is widening toward the top. And I'd like to pull it toward inside a little to reduce the upper volume. That is why I tuck the tips in carefully through 3 rows. I have taken it off the form deliberately to pull the upper edge together a little. This way I pass this whole row. And after having tucked all the poles in, the next stage is a holder. There can be many different varieties of holders. Here you can see one variety. Here a new interesting one. Here is a flat weaving. It is up to your imagination to choose which type of a holder fits you better. Here I have fixed the holder this way, with round cakes stuck with a hot glue gun. I have primed the article with school glue mixed with water. The only thing left is to varnish it. As for the trays for bread baskets, from my own experience, I have understood that I prefer trays with outside boards. First of all, they allow you to keep more bread in a bread basket. And secondly, it is easier to weave them because this process of inserting the tubes and lifting them, the boards curl, you need an additional form. It looks nice and interesting, and it can be a possible variety, but I prefer outside boards. They also look interesting and they can contain more bread. And I think that such a set of a bread basket and a biscuit dish can be a wonderful gift for a housewarming or for those who have just renovated their kitchen. So I recommend you this gift. Good luck to you!